All right, welcome to our new podcast, Witchful Thinking. We're your hosts, Brianna, Nix, and Autumn. We'll take a minute today to introduce ourselves. We're going to share about the deities and spirits that we collaborate with, and then we're going to discuss altar cleansing. We're aiming for, I want to say, probably about 40 minutes, right? Because that's...
I'd say yeah.
Yeah, so we're aiming for about 40 minutes for our episode. I'm gonna let Nix take it away and introduce herself first, since this was her beautiful brainchild.
Oh yeah. Hi guys, my name is Nix. I didn't really have an intro.
It's all right. I used AI to write that.
See, I wish I knew how to operate AI. I don't.
You totally off topic, but you just type tell them what you want, and then you click on the one I use has a rewrite option. And so then I hit rewrite, and then it puts it into better words.
I'm gonna have to try and figure that out. Okay. So my name is Nix. I am just a priestess, and I work with Nix, funnily enough. I work with Hecate, Hecate. A lot of people pronounce it many different ways. I pronounce it Hecate. I work with Persephone, Nemesis, which was new, Hermes, which is new.
Hermes joined me recently too.
Dude, when I found Loki and the Fae and I were just jamming out to people in our songs in our head, and it was actually Feed the Machine. Funnily enough,
I think I remember.
Loki loves that song. He really loves that song.
Yeah, he does.
And we were singing it, and then all of a sudden, just another random person is like, "And me too." I'm like, "Who?"
But you know what? Hermes is a vibe, though.
He is a vibe. He is a vibe. And how I found out, actually, I was like, "Who is this other deity speaking to me?" Scrolling through TikTok, a video about Hermes pops up, and the light bulb hits. God damn it!
Gotcha.
That's not a bad goddamn it. It's a good goddamn it. It's got another chaos.
Yes.
I'm just collecting them. I swear. I work with Loki. I work with kind of the Fae. It's not a bad relationship. Let me tell you that. It's just chaos, man. Just chaos. Just a bunch of deities that I do chaos with. I don't know if I named all of them. I'll probably create a list, but
I would say, do you work with Hades? Because I know you work with Persephone.
No,
you don't work with Hades.
Okay. He's there. He
just kind of vibes when his wife is around. Yeah.
He and his wife vibe. I know someone that does work with Hades, though, that I have gotten a message from Persephone, from Hades, given to Persephone to give to my friend, and because she wasn't listening.
That's
such a dad move.
It is really a dad move. It's like, go tell your sibling to listen, goddammit.
But you know what, though? Which life be like that, though?
It does. Yeah. Oh, and I can't believe I almost forgot Aphrodite. I do work with Aphrodite, and that's Autumn's fault.
It is not my fault. I just want to point that out. It was more of she really didn't give me or you a choice, because she did not give me a choice either. I mean, I was content and just,
You were the sign, though. You were the sign.
From what I know about Aphrodite, I don't work with her personally, but from what I know and from the people that I know that work with her, she doesn't ever give you a choice.
No.
It's like, hey, bitch, you need to love yourself, and I'm here to help you with that.
Yeah, she's a very firm believer of tough love.
Mm-hmm.
She is.
And it's tough. Man.
Autumn, you want to go ahead? Autumn, you want to go ahead and go next, since we started talking about Aphrodite?
Yeah, sure. So I have been, I've been practicing paganism, since I was 17 years old. I work with Aphrodite. I work with Nyx. I work with Lilith. I'm looking at my altar as I'm saying this. Freya.
Notice I put mine in the background.
I know mine's over here off to the side, and then I
I'm
have
working on getting a
Faylin,
desk in
Bridget,
my room.
Faye. I do a lot of ancestral work too. Um, but
Nice.
yeah, I kind of work with a conglomerate of them. They just
I say I've
somehow
seen your list before. You work with a lot.
I do, and it's one of those things too where like I don't necessarily have. I mean, I have the dedicated ones that I have on my
Mhm.
altar, but there are some that like come and go. So if I'm in the middle of working on something, like one will send me to another person. Like there was
Mm.
a certain point where I was dealing with a lot of death, and so um, I remember Hecate coming to me and being like, "You're gonna hang out with Thanatos for a little bit, and you're gonna sit with him and get
That's
comfortable
fair.
with it." And so like they'll kind of pull me in almost, and they'll do that like very like maternal kind of thing where they're like, "Hey, you're gonna do this." Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I do that, and I don't know. It's just a very it's a vibe over here.
It's always a vibe.
It's always a vibe with you three. Well,
And
with you
Autumn,
two. But
what's your role within our coven?
Oh, so I'm still learning, even though I've been doing this for a while. But I do practice shamanism, and I work on guided meditation, healing, all that. Working with you to help figure out and bridge that gap between who it is that's calling to you, what it is that you're being called to do. Kind of like what I did with Nyx. I was that bridge between her and Aphrodite.
Yep.
One of these days, when we get your camera situation figured out, we're gonna have you do some like Reiki stuff here,
Oh
because
yeah.
that would
Yes.
be fun. That would
Yeah,
be
I
fun.
Ooh,
mean,
I want to test
I am
something.
not a licensed Reiki person, but I mean, we can do like guided meditation. I mean, that I'm all for that. I've camera or not, you just have to listen to my voice, unfortunately.
That's true. I just like watching the fingers, to be fair.
I don't know how I've broken my finger so many times. I don't think you guys want to see these crooked.
I'm okay with. I don't even know what I was gonna say.
Real talk,
I
singing bowls are my favorite, though.
They are. I want to get some more bells. I don't think my neighbors in my apartment would appreciate that, but like once I get a house, I want to get some more like singing bowls or
They
get
can
some
suffer.
bells.
Bro,
Huh?
I will tell you, having a house like changes everything, because you're like, I can put stuff wherever I want.
Literally
Yeah, my
though, but
landlord's
I
pretty
kind of do
cool.
that with my apartment too. So
Yeah, my landlord's pretty cool with it. I mean, I just can't like mount TVs or whatever on my walls, but I've got like bookshelves up, and I've
That's
definitely made
good.
it my home. But I definitely can't wait to have a house, so that way,
That's fair.
one, animals have more room to roam around, but then I can have like my designated workspace again because I do care
Yeah.
about
I like that I have my house, because I have freedom in like where, like how loud I can be and stuff. I mean, my sister lives with me, but um
that.
like
Well,
I hmm?
oh, I think we've got somebody in the audience. I don't
Oh,
know if
do we?
that. Yeah,
I don't know how
oh,
to
oh
tell.
wait, they never went away. They got scared. I called them out.
Ah,
no,
dang.
no.
I don't know how to tell, to be honest. This is my first time playing with
I
or
don't know either.
I just set the platform up today, so. All
Yeah.
right, well, I guess it's my turn.
Actually,
Okay.
I
What?
want to try an applause button that I have on my little soundboard thing.
Oh, go for it. Try
Did it work?
it. It works. It's
Yes!
very 1990s sitcom though.
You're welcome.
You guys want to see something
We
really
need
funny
that
real quick?
nostalgia.
Do you guys see something really funny real quick? I want to see if I
Sure.
can capture it.
Yes.
Oh, there's
My
a chat.
cat.
We have a chat?
Look at her.
What?
She's
Oh.
trying. She's trying to get the Samsung on the screen. I don't know if she's gonna do it. Hold on, wait. She might.
Okay.
We can
She-
barely see her, but I can see that there's a blob.
Yeah,
Oh, no. Dang.
your camera's pretty pixelated, but I
no.
did see her staring at it.
Yeah, she was like she does cause she's the Siamese ragdoll, so she does the ragdoll thing where they like
Oh yeah.
Ragdolls are
turn
so
their head.
cute.
And
That's
she
cute.
was like attacking the screen, trying to get the Samsung. It's really funny. Let's see if I can get a picture. But go ahead. I'm gonna let you go, Brianna, because I'm just gonna.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so hi, I'm Brianna. I play the I play the role of high priestess within our coven. I'm kind of winging it most days because I don't really know what I'm doing even in life. um, as far as deities and deities I work with, you know what? I'm gonna work my way from top down. Hecate's probably one of them I work with the most. She's the what's the word? What's the word that I want? Like when you have like a main deity or what's that word?
Patron?
Patriarch?
Patron.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. um, so her and Persephone are probably my two patrons. Um, so I work with Hecate. I work with Persephone and Hades. Both. I actually worked with Hades before Persephone. I had asked Persephone to work with her like I don't know, a year before I started working with Hades, and she was like, "Nah, you're not ready." And I was like, "All right, that's fair." Um, I was already working with Hecate at the time, and Hecate was like, "Bruh, you need to work on yourself before Persephone even looks your way." Um, and then my son was born, and Hades started showing up for my son. He started like he had kind of adopted my child as a child of Hades, and so he was in my home a little bit more often, and I was like, all right, you're a vibe. And I started vibing with Hades. And after I worked with Hades for a while, Persephone was finally like, okay, I'm good with you now. um, sometimes they're picky. And that's okay. They're allowed to be. Okay, so Hecate, Persephone, Hades. Like I said, I'm working my way down. Yemaya is actually who I have worked with the longest. And she is how I got into like witchcraft and paganism. Even though she's not technically a pagan deity, she's an African deity, but she guided my path into this. So I started working with her. I was having a lot of fertility problems, and I had gone on a vacation with my mom to New Orleans, and I met this wonderful woman who was a voodoo priestess, and she read my cards, and she talked to some spirit guides of her own, and her mother being one of them, and then Yemeya and Oshun, they are sisters. So all three of them kind of like guided her to communicate with me, like, hey, um, try this. And so I started working with Yemaya and Oshun. Once I finally had my son, Oshun was like, "You don't really need me anymore." So she's not around. I imagine if I got pregnant again, she'd probably show up again. But uh, she was like, "I don't do motherhood. I do guiding you to get there." Whereas Yemaya is a mothering goddess. Like that's like her thing. So she's around. She helps guide me when I'm having problems with being a mom, which being a mom is hard. I love it though. And then I work with Loki. Um, he's a chaos gremlin.
Oh,
Like
for
Nick
sure, for
said,
sure.
he kind of reminds me not to take life so seriously all the time. I have a bad tendency of getting in my head and taking things way too seriously, and so he shows up and he's like, "Hey, let me fuck with you." I'm like, "All right, sure."
This is all right.
And more recently, Loki brought in, like I said, Loki brought Hermes to me, and he also brought Dionysus around. I think Dionysus just was like, "Hey, you're a teacher. Here's some wine." Nah, but Dionysus kind of just chills in the background most of the time. He doesn't really pay. He's not as big of a play in my practice, but he's around. And then Hermes has been showing up a lot lately. He's like I said, he's a vibe. And then I have Athena, who actually prefers that I call her Minerva, which is her Roman name. Um, but most people don't really know that.
She's a badass.
She is, and
100%.
she hasn't really asked much of me yet. I think she's just kind of watching me and getting to know me right now, but she started showing up. She told me to get an owl skull. I still don't have one.
I am working on finding you one. I got
They're
you, Pam.
they're expensive. I
They're
looked on.
hard.
They are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like
But
a
she
lot of
really it was like one day there was just one day I woke up, I was like, I need an owl skull. Wait, why? And then I realized why. And she was like, yeah, that's for me. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, there's a couple oddity shops here. I haven't visited them, but I know people who frequently visit them. So I've been asking them to keep an eye out for me because I will not step foot in that store without anyone
That,
with me because of who owns the store. But I'm
that's
also
fair.
asking farmers as well to look around their barns for
That's
barn owl skulls.
I appreciate you. Our metaphysical shops don't carry owls. We have a lot of rabbits, and sometimes they carry foxes, and
If I
beavers,
have to, I
but
will
we don't
sculpt one
carry
for you
owls.
out of clay.
Oh,
Wait, but
you're
if you find
perfect.
a fox one though, let me know and send it my way, because
A
I
skull
will
or
probably find another fox skull because I have one. It's currently on Hecate's altar right now.
yeah,
Same
yeah,
with Coyote.
we have coyotes in our shop too.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's fox skulls in there every once in a while. They're pretty expensive, so I would need like you
oh
to help me
yeah,
with.
no.
Yeah, but absolutely, if you want one, I'll let you know next time I see one. I
I
think
will go thrift shopping.
that's all of my deities, by the way. Um,
Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm gonna abuse that button.
No.
of
There's
course
so
you
many
are.
over here.
But do you have a laugh track though?
Got a cheer one too. Ooh, I
Okay.
also have this one.
Okay, but
Ding,
did you buy this just for this podcast?
Yes. No.
I like we just knew before you even said it because you were just kind of like, but I
Yeah,
love it. I love it.
I
No.
love that.
So one of the main reasons why I bought this was not only just for the podcast because I've actually always wanted to start making music too. So I was
And you're
actually
gonna
going to
put a
start.
laugh track in your mixes.
No, that was purely for the podcast because it came with the microphone. But the
Oh,
microphone I'm going to be using for podcasts or like my own music.
gotcha. Okay.
Will I get that done? Probably not. It's
So
a project.
you didn't buy the soundboard separate. It came with the mic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh,
pretty cool
okay.
though.
I
That is
oh
pretty cool.
I don't even know where Aaron put the box, but it literally said podcast for beginners on the box.
I love it.
Awesome. I love that.
I was like, oh my gosh, it's perfect because I'm a beginner.
What?
I've never done a podcast before, so this is
I've never done a podcast either.
I listen
I
to a lot of them. I
yeah.
don't,
I do
but I've
too.
never been
That's why I
on
thought
one.
this is like a really good idea because I didn't see a lot of witchy ones. And
Oh, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
you can go first. You can go first. I want to hear what you got to say.
One of my friends asked if she could join us as a guest once, and like
Yes.
well, not even just once. She said every once in a while, can I show up? And she's not a witch, but she wants to join and ask not like with questions that non-witches have.
Yeah.
Yes, I would love that.
I
I've
think I
actually
thought it was
thought
a really good
about.
idea.
I think it's a really good idea too. I thinking about possibly having some of our coven members be guests if they were comfortable enough. If they
Yeah,
had any questions,
I
or
love that.
just,
Or even to
or
just kind of like
possibly guest
educate
starring
too.
other pagans. Maybe even have like a couple Wiccans on here too.
Yeah,
Because I was thinking about for the podcast having a Wiccan minute, if you know
yeah.
what I like,
I
morbid minute, all of that kind
yeah,
of stuff.
yeah.
Then like have kind of
I
share the
think.
differences between paganism and Wiccanism and stuff, and like do a lot of research. Kind of help not only the
Mhm.
baby Wiccans, but also the baby pagans.
I think my mom identifies with Wicca. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what she does.
I know my friend is Wiccan, and so is her boyfriend.
Okay. I have a friend who's a former Wiccan, and not as in like she left Wicca, but more like she stopped actively practicing.
Yeah, because like I started in Wicca, but then I decided that it just wasn't for me, and I just kind of
Yeah.
went to paganism. Sorry, my cats are having zoomies right
You're fine.
now.
All good. Mine's off to the side taking a nap.
Yeah, both my dogs, ironically, are taking a nap, which is usually the opposite.
My
Mm.
dog's laying under my counter taking a nap, and I don't know where my cat is.
My cat almost had a total wipeout on the coffee table. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool to have that. I mean, especially to say the difference, because I ended up switching and going back to paganism, or just doing paganism in general, just because it just kind of vibed with it a little bit better. So,
Yeah.
because
I
I'm pretty eclectic. So,
yeah, I'm eclectic as well. I personally just like when I was looking into what I wanted to do as far as like where I wanted my practice to go, I started in just witchcraft and I didn't really identify with any of the spiritual faiths or
I
anything.
don't know what that noise was.
It was a ghost.
It
That's
was, I think,
that's
a
our
switch.
first guest is a ghost.
His name
um,
is Greg.
Greg the ghost. All right,
Yeah, I got
cool.
it. It's gonna be Greg. I don't know why I chose Greg, but it's Greg.
Yeah,
First
why
name that
not?
pops in my head. I
oh,
think it was Twitch.
hi.
But I like I feel like I was most familiar with Wicca, and so that's where I started looking. But like it just didn't fit. It just didn't fit me because I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was like the Wiccan creed or what, but something just didn't fit, and I was like, nah, this ain't me. So yeah, that's how. And then I was like, okay, definitely more toward pagan, um, but
Pega.
like Pega, that's a new thing.
It's like Sega, but
Um,
Pega.
that's perfect. Definitely
No
more
sense.
toward pagan, and then it was like kind of trying to figure out what kind of a pagan I was. Was I like because I live right next to the ocean, so I'm like, am I a sea witch or am I like this or that? And it ultimately came down to I felt like I fit. I cannot talk.
You're fine. I don't think any of us can talk. We're all nervous.
I was like, I feel like I fit in a lot of things, and that's how I ended up with eclectic paganism.
I started my journey kind of into paganism back in middle school, but it was more research purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it wasn't until the night I got that one dream that I told y'all about where I was like, I don't know if Nyx was actually reaching out to me, and you
I
were like,
remember that.
take the hint.
Take the
Yeah, because you weren't listening.
yeah.
So,
I was very skeptical because I personally didn't feel like she would actually like want to be my deity.
mm-hmm.
And I was having a discussion with Autumn with this because I was still like very curious as to why she chose me because I personally didn't think I was worthy enough. And it turns out in a past life I was a child of hers. So
Mm-hmm.
and it
I
honestly explains a lot because for a very long time I felt deeply connected to Nyx. Like
mm-hmm.
she's
That's how
sorry.
I felt about Hecate before I started into my practice. And for listeners, I'm actually probably I think I'm the newest of the three of us to the practice itself because Nix, you said since middle school, right?
Yes, but I didn't set any like altars and stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like actively like practicing, but I was diving into the research, man. I was researching everything I could learn.
Right. And
Because I
Autumn,
think,
when
well, I mean, without, I mean, I don't care. I'm 30. I've been practicing since I was like 17.
Yeah, I
mm-hmm.
think autumn's been longer.
Yeah, well, Autumn's only a few months older than me because I'll be 30 soon.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I didn't switch to this life until I was like I said until I was having fertility problems. And it wasn't that I had never felt connected to it. It was like before I just well, dang, we're about to unpack some religious trauma,
We are.
y'all.
Let's go.
That's where it
I think
all
we all
begins.
three
Well,
have.
I
Yeah, so like at middle school, high school, I was brought up in a Christian environment, and I thought that's what I believed. And as I got older, I realized I wasn't really in it for the right reasons. I was there because I wanted to go to youth group because that's where my friends were. Like real, but as a kid, I didn't process that. I thought I was there for the right reasons, but as I got older, I'm like, wait a minute, no, I just wanted to go on, like, I wanted to go on the trips with my friends because like my youth group did like a ski trip and this trip and that trip, and so like that's really why I was there, but I didn't know that at the time. But while I was there, though, you know, in the Christian church, a lot of times they'll say like, whatever gets them here, as long if they get here, then we can teach them, and that was kind of, I feel like my youth minister's like thoughts toward me, like he got me there and now he's teaching me. But like while I was there, I was also, I lived in like a very small town in the Midwest, and the idea of being queer was not okay. Um, so I had asked my youth minister once, I was like, well, if God makes us all in his image and we're all perfect the way he made us, then why would he also not love his queer children? Like if he is making us this way, why is he not loving us for that? And my youth minister essentially said that being queer is a choice and we are choosing to be sinners. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, no, if I were
not how it works.
like, no, sir, because I did not choose to live in small town Midwest America and actively get shat on for liking ladies.
You tell me about it. I first came out
that's
as
not a choice people make.
Exactly. Yeah. So when I first came out, I was actually in 7th grade. I was talking with one of my friends, and I actually had my first girlfriend at the time too. Her name is Meg. She is a woman, let me tell you. I still talk with her. I love talking with her. I call her my twinsy. We decided we were bestest friends, but like she is my twin flame. Like we're best friends. But I came out to my friend, and she was like, "Oh, cool." And later, she actually found out that she herself was gay. But when I initially came out, I thought I was pansexual. Then I switched it to bi, then lesbian. But lesbian was because of a lot of trauma.
That's fair.
And then I recently just discovered that I am, in fact, bisexual after unpacking a lot of trauma. And like, I didn't mostly heal. I still need a lot of healing, but I have found more trust in men than anything. And I'm going to be honest, it's 100% because of Aaron.
I mean, you and Aaron seem to have a very healthy relationship, though.
We really do.
As for me, like, because I grew up in Midwest America, like, I have very little experience with women simply because it was just more convenient and safer for me to just date men. Like, as a bisexual woman, you have that choice. And so it was easier and safer for me to just date men. And I'm married to a man, and I love my husband, and by no means am I saying I regret that at all, because I love my husband, I love my marriage, I love my child. Like, very, very happy with the way my life turned out. But at that time, like, I'm 16, 17 years old, and I have this person who is like a figure of authority, like a figure, he's supposed to be a role model for me, he's supposed to be guiding me through what is supposed to be my spiritual faith, and he's telling me that I'm choosing of a life of damnation, which is not something people choose to do. Like, that's not an active choice people make. So that was kind of my realization, like, this isn't really what I want for myself. So going into college, I was just like, you know what, I have this, I started doing like some religious research, and I kind of came up with this like agnostic belief that kind of all religions came from the same basic core. Because if you look at multiple religions and like multiple spiritual beliefs, like a lot of the stories, a lot of the beliefs are very aligned, and I still kind of hold that belief today. And so that's kind of, and then going into adulthood, I had some fertility problems, and that's what led me to where I am in my practice today.
I was getting cold, so I asked for a blanket.
You're good.
Yeah, no, it was kind of the, it was kind of the same for me, I mean, I grew up in the church, and I grew up going, to Sunday school, to youth group, and there was just it was during high school, and there was some stuff that happened in the youth group, and I thought that I had people that were, supposed to be there for me, that were supposed to protect me, and um, it ended up being that, like, I couldn't really go to the one person that I needed to, and then there was just a lot of, like, isolation. There was um, a lot of mean girl behavior, and I really wasn't a fan of that. And so I don't know, like, it was a very weird thing, because my grandma and my grandmama, they have, like, these visions that they get, and they get these dreams, and it's kind of something that we all the women in my family have. And it was just funny, because it was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to this river. It's the Edisto River, so if anyone ever hops on here, I don't live in South Carolina anymore, but I went to the Edisto River. I didn't think I was going to. There was a lot of, like, weird weather going on that day, and I went there and I met someone. Um, my friend Terry, she's the one that introduced me to it. And at first, I wasn't really sure about it. It was one of those things where I met her, and then I was kind of leaving the church anyways, because stuff had happened to me personally outside of the mean girl behavior. And while I was there, like, I met Terry, and we got to talking and stuff like that. She added me on Facebook, and it was probably, like, I want to say maybe a week or two later, I remember messaging her and being like, I got a random question. Are you Wiccan or pagan? And she was just like, yes. And I was like, I have some questions for you. And then I just kind of went into it that way. But a lot of it stemmed around the fact that I just never really, like, growing up, I went to church with my parents and my grandparents. But my grandma, she always really kind of taught us that, like, our faith isn't necessarily in the church, it's where people congregate. And so she was just always teaching us about, like, nature and all this other kind of stuff, and sitting with us. And um, like, we would sit with her, and vice versa, and we would read scripture and stuff like that. But there was something about, sitting outside with her and really appreciating nature that really kind of, I think, was the catalyst for me. Because I just never felt like I belonged at the church. Like, I'd go there kind of like, I went to see my friends, but then I really didn't have any friends, so there was no reason for me to be there. And I just never really felt like I belonged there. And I always felt more comfortable being outside and in nature. And sorry. And
No, you're fine.
it was, I don't know, it's just one of those things that eventually I met Terry and I started talking. She introduced me, and then it became a thing where I think I was going over to her house, like, every other week, and we were doing the whole year and a day thing. And she was teaching me about tarot cards, about scrying, meditation, and then doing, like, energy work. And then it was probably a year later, her friend Ramona, who is Polish. I'm gonna get it messed up, but anyways, she did a lot of stuff. So I came up to North Carolina, or went to North Carolina to see her, and I stayed the weekend with her, and she kind of walked me through different. I know, sorry, I just, like, started it.
Oh, you're fine. You got to remember, I'm an hour ahead of you too. So for me, it's already after 8:00.
Yeah, and I'm an old lady, so, like, it's getting close to my bedtime, but that's fine.
It's all good. It's all good.
But no, like, she kind of took me in, and I just remember feeling like after that this was like, this was the right path for me, because I now was sitting with people who held a safe space for me, because I was in middle school, and it's not that I fully came out. I think it was one of those things where my best friend at the time was the one that I told, and she passed away last year. And but she was the one that I came out to, and she was okay, cool. But she was the one that really helped me through like getting to that point, and I never really said anything to anybody. But then like high school came around, and I mean, it was one of those things that in high school it really wasn't that big of a deal because like nobody really cared if you were gay or not, or if you were
Right.
bisexual, and not like they did in middle school at least. And so high school was like it was whatever, and then you graduate high school and you're an adult, and then nobody really cares what you do unless you're in a certain part in the Bible Belt. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, it was kind of one of those things that I just kind of slowly went into it. And then things that like my family practice, a lot of times I'd sit there and be like, Grandma, you do know that this is rooted in something a lot older than what you currently believe in. And it was I think that was one of the most crucial times because I had two coming outs, right? I had the one where I was like, oh, well, I'm actually bisexual. And then I had the second one where I told my family that I was completely separating from the church and that I was
Which I
going
have yet to
towards.
do.
Well, it was.
I haven't done that.
I've
Yeah,
told my family.
It's kind of one of those things where like I did it right away because I started hanging out, and my parents were asking me. They're like, "Well, why are you always going to Terry's house? You're always going here. You're always like." Just asking to make sure I'm okay because I mean at the time I was like 17, 18 years old, and I was like, well, I'm going over there. So I got like cat hair in my mouth. And I was like, well, I'm going over there because she's helping me. She's training me. They're like, training what? And I finally told them, and I just told my parents, and my parents were just kind of like, because my mom, ironically, didn't even know this. Apparently, when she was in the Air Force, had looked into Buddhism, and then my dad was in the Navy, and he's more open too. But they were both just kind of like, as long as you're not harming people, we don't care. The hardest part was telling my grandparents, honestly.
I have not told my grandmother. Well, I can't tell my grandma, but
Yeah.
I haven't told anyone else in my family other than my parents, but they kind of already figured it out on their own thing.
My mom knows. I told my mom.
They don't know I'm pagan, but they know I separated from the church.
Yeah. I think my dad knows that I'm not part of the church. My mom knows that I do practice pagan witchcraft, and my sister knows, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
Isn't your sister in the server, or is that Brandy's?
I think that's Brandy's. I don't think mine is.
I thought yours was. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Autumn.
My mom is.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love your mom. But yeah,
your mom's in there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, who's your mom?
I'll look up her name while Autumn finishes.
Yeah, but no,
yeah, please finish. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. It was just, it was one of those things that they just, I told them, and the biggest surprise that I had, and I was actually talking to my aunt about this last week. My mom's mom, who I'm very, very close to, my grandma, she's pretty much like my second mom. She was probably outside of my parents the most accepting because like I told her what I believed, and I want to say it was like a week or two later she called me and she goes, I understand. And I was like, what do you mean? Because it was just out of the blue. And that's when she was like, well, we believe along the lines of the same thing. She's like, you just call it by a different name, which is kind of like what you were saying, Brie, where it was kind of like they all kind of teach very similar things. It's just we call it by different names. I have some family members that are still a little. I think at this point it's well over 15 years, so they're just kind of like, it's just Autumn. But
yeah, my grandparents know that I am not Christian. They've figured that out for the fact that I haven't gone to church in, I don't know, 10 years. But they do not know about the witchcraft or the paganism. And honestly, I don't want to be the reason that my grandmother has a heart attack, so I'm just not gonna. I'm just not gonna.
Understandable.
That's why all of my altars are in my bedroom, because like when my family comes to visit, they're not coming into my bedroom.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That's the same thing with mine. I had to so
Krista, by the way, my mom's name in the server is just her regular name. It's Krista.
Oh, I didn't know that was her.
She's not very active, but yes, she's there.
That's fine. But I would love to see her like active in the chat though, because I need to tell her how awesome she did with you.
I don't think she knows how to use Discord.
Probably not. I know my mom doesn't.
My dad does, and it's
I had
so
to
funny.
explain Discord to my mom because of my younger brother and sister actively being on it. She's like, I don't know how to operate those things. Like, you don't want to know. You don't want to know.
I keep trying to get my family to use Discord instead of group texts, and they don't.
It's so easier to use Discord though.
Yeah, because they always forget somebody in the group text, and I'm like, we could just have a Discord server for the family.
Exactly.
Or WhatsApp.
And they could have crazy usernames.
WhatsApp would be good too, yeah.
Although I don't want my parents on Discord ever.
I just get so tired of like there's a new when my family makes a group text, they make it for like not just my parents and siblings, but they add aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents.
Ours
it is
just
a full family group text. And they always so it's always like 30 people in a group text, and they always forget somebody and then have to make a new one. And then forget somebody and have to make a new one. So like every week I've got a new group text. I'm like, we could just make a Discord.
No, 100%, 100%. We don't have aunts and uncles in our group text. It's just our immediate family. It's the same thing with my bio dad too. We have a group chat just for our immediate family, no aunts and uncles. If we ever need to get in contact with them, it's through Facebook.
We do a lot of like big family events, so that's why we do it. My dad and my stepmom own a farm, and so we do a lot of like big family gatherings at the farm. And so whenever they want to tell everybody about what's going on, that's why we have all the group texts.
We use Facebook. All of my family members have Facebook, so if there's like an event that goes on, since it all happens at like my parents' house, they just
wish we would do something like that. I get so tired of the
text. I have such a big family that like I mean it would be because every 5 years my mom's side of the family, we get together and do like this big family reunion. And I mean, there's like, we wear name tags and we'll have like a picture of like the person that we're descended from. So it's like my grandmama's father is the one that came here. And so as a kid, I believe. And so I'm Clan Victor. So I have his picture and then my name. And then we all just kind of like, it's huge. And so I'm just like, oh, this is a lot of people.
That's, yeah.
See, my mom's side of the family is kind of like that. So, but we have family reunions every single year on 4th of July. And then we also have family reunions every, I think it's second Saturday of the month as well. But those are for just the people that live in the area. And then once a year for people that live around the states, because we do family in every.
We do big family events like every weekend, so like we don't have like full huge family or family reunions, because pretty much every weekend is a family reunion for us. But hey, we are at 43 minutes, so let's make sure to talk about altar cleansing before we wrap up. Okay. All right. So altar cleansing, there are lots of ways to cleanse your space. My preferred method is I prefer to use smoke, but because I have a small infant, smoke is a little harder for me to use more recently. So I also like sound. But there's a few different ways to cleanse your space. So since those are my preferred, I'll talk about those. You can use like incense, or you can use smudge or sage sticks. Please make sure you are using the correct term based on whether it's cultural appropriation for you or not. Also keep in mind, like certain types of sage are hard to keep alive. Not, what's the word? Words are hard tonight. They're like rarer or harder to like cultivate.
Yeah.
Yes. So like I think is it white sage that's
so white sage is that it should be gifted to you by an indigenous or Native American person, because that is sacred to them. There's different forms of sage, but a lot of it is making sure, one, it's being ethically sourced. If it is indigenous, rooted, make sure that you're getting it either from an indigenous shop, or it's gifted to you. From what I understand, I don't want to be quoted on this. From what I understand and from what I have read, a lot of white sage needs to be gifted to you. That's not something you should just be buying at a metaphysical
Right.
store.
That's what I thought too.
Because
Yeah.
I know white sage is the one that's very very
It's got a lot of,
sensitive.
it's very culture sensitive.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of cultural attachment to it. But so if that's like part of your culture, awesome. If it's not, try to make sure that you're getting it the correct way. I personally like eucalyptus because it smells good. But there's a lot of different ways that you can use smoke, and then you just kind of wave the smoke around your space. Clockwise helps to bring in good vibes. Counterclockwise is to banish bad vibes, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I would also like to add, sorry, for the white sage, make sure you know how to use it. If you're gifted it or if you get it, know how to use it, because if you don't, it's not going to work.
Right. Yeah.
That goes for all incense, but specifically white sage, because if you don't do it correctly, you're going to be attracting negative energy.
Yeah, definitely. So make sure if you are using sage, white sage specifically, you're making sure you look into all of that stuff that's attached to it. Palo Santo, I think, is also a cultural one too.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that.
Oh, it's like a stick of wood. It smells really good.
Oh, yes, I have heard of it. I just didn't know the name.
If you, I don't use it personally, but if you do use it, there's some cultural attachments with that one as well. So yeah, counterclockwise, good vibes. Clockwise, good vibes. Counterclockwise, get rid of the bad vibes. And then sound. There's lots of different ways you can use sound. I like my singing bowls. I have a couple of bells. But my personal favorite, because it's easy, is I just clap. It's easy.
It is.
I'll be walking around my house when I feel negative vibes, and I'm like, get the fuck out. That's my cleansing.
Sometimes it be like that. I feel like in the beginning, everyone's like, please leave. Now I'm like, if you're not paying rent, get out.
Right. Yeah.
Literally a Midwestern thing.
Literally, I will walk through my house and I'm just clapping and I'm like, get the fuck out. And my husband's like, what is wrong with you? Because my husband is not pagan, not into witchcraft. He supports me, but he's just like, what are you doing? And I'm
it's
like,
the same thing with Aaron.
He's like,
I feel for my neighbors, because I definitely will open my windows if it's really nice, and I'll like turn the AC off, especially if it's a nice day. And and I'm probably gonna sound very Midwestern when I say this, but when it's like 65 degrees and there's a nice breeze, I'll open.
No, that's perfect. I'm from the Midwest too, though.
Yeah, it's perfect. I'm also from the Midwest.
So it's just kind of one of those things. And
just some Midwest witches here. I know. That should have been the podcast name, Midwest Witches.
But the pun.
But,
no, I like our name. Yeah. I don't live in the Midwest anymore. That's just where I spent most of my childhood.
I started there, moved to the South, and now I'm back in the Midwest.
Started out in the Midwest, born and raised, still here.
I was along the East Coast as a small child because my dad was in the Navy. And then when my parents divorced, I went to the Midwest and then was there from like elementary school all the way through college. And then I moved back to the East Coast because that's where I like it. Kind of like Autumn said earlier, like she feels a connection when she's outside. I feel a connection when I'm at the beach. So I got to have that ocean air.
I just feel a connection to the dark. And I already know why.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
No, I actually dreamt about this place when I was younger. And it wasn't until I got here and started working here, I was outside, that I was like, it was kind of like that, whoa.
Like a deja vu?
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, oh, this is it. Like, this is the place. This is where... Like,
that's awesome. When we're not streaming, you got to tell me where it is you are, because I don't actually remember.
Oh, yes, please. when
Yeah,
we're
not while we're streaming.
Yeah,
we don't want to dox ourselves.
I accidentally already had my full name on here earlier. I had to fix that.
It's fine.
Oh well. So yeah, those are my preferred methods of cleansing. What do you guys do?
I'll let Autumn go first, and then I'll go.
I'm OCD, so I go through and I dust. I don't know. Like I get in this mood every once in a while. Sometimes, like I it's one of those things where I clean my altar space. I don't want to make it seem like I'm not, because I do. But a lot of times when I'm cleaning, I'll get this whole like, "Don't come over here. Please just leave us be," because I clean so much that they're like, "No, just." And I'm like, "All right, that's fine." And then every now and then, I'll go through and I'll go shelf by shelf, because I've got 4 shelves, and I'll go through and I'll dust. I'll have I am listen to Arabic music, and I'll just dance, and I'll let the music kind of help cleanse the space. And then I do a combination of seining, which is smoke cleansing, and then I also make a cleansing spray. And so what I'll do is, if I'm like cleaning the altar up, like it needs to be really clean, which it doesn't get dirty very often, but I'll go through and I'll do a smoke cleanse, and then I'll dust, and then I wipe down everything, and then I'll put new offerings up. I'll rearrange it if they want things rearranged. Just rearrange my ancestral altar like last week, and I'll just kind of like move it around.
Yeah,
just like,
give it some like freshening up.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things is, like, especially on the shelf for Bridget and Care to Win, I have, and the shelf for my Fae, I have like moss, and so I'll water the moss and make sure that it's going good. The Fae love it. I also have sweets up there for them, and so every now and then they'll remind me like, "Hey, can you swap this out for a new one?" But lately they've been vibing with the truffles that I have up there for them.
That sounds good.
They don't want me to open the box.
They're delicious. I don't blame them.
Yeah,
right. Like they've got a salted caramel cookie, truffles. One of them wanted a cosmic brownie, so that's there.
Okay, whatever.
Is it the one with the split in the middle, or is it just the one that
no it's the one with the split in the middle? They wanted.
Okay, you gave them the good one. You gave them a good one.
I gave them the good one.
I don't eat cosmic brownies.
I don't either.
Nix, I have celiac disease. I can't eat them.
I used to eat them when I was younger, but then like I got older, and I don't know how I ended up with a box of cosmic brownies one day, and then they were like, "Oh, that's for us," and I was like, "All right." So that just goes up.
They went shopping without you.
What?
They went shopping without you.
Literally, I will open up my pantry and be like, "Who put this in here?" Or I'll have somebody be like, "Who took this out?" And then I look, and it's
that one happens to me a lot. I don't get things showing up as often, but things go missing.
Yeah, they always
things go missing for me too.
It's always the top shelf or the shelf with Loki's horse head statue that he wants.
Yeah.
He still
bruh, he still asks for a freaking waffle maker.
Just one of these days we're gonna get on here, you're just gonna be like, "I cracked and got him a waffle maker."
The fact that he wants a fucking waffle maker drives me nuts. You don't need it.
He does.
It is what it is.
He probably wants to make waffles for his family.
Loki is like that one stoner friend that you always you know, it'd be a really good idea, a waffle maker, and you're like, for what reason? Like, you don't even know how to use it. You just want it. And then he's like, "You could make me waffles." And I'm like,
but he doesn't want me to make waffles because I have a waffle maker. He wants one just to sit on a shelf. And he has been asking for this damn waffle maker for a year now.
I swear, like, I looked at him and he wanted a candle. And I was like, "I'm not lighting this candle." Because the last time I gave him a candle, he almost burnt, like, the shelf that I had prior. Because I was like, "Homie, no, I'm not leaving you with an open flame. I'll put a candle there for you."
He's like a toddler.
Yeah, I'll make.
Roxy,
there's
no.
this like orange coffee scented candle that I made for him, and that's another thing that I do sometimes as well when I'm cleansing my altars. Is I'll make because I make candles. I'll light a candle for them. Like I'll make a candle specifically for them that they want, and I'll light
Mm-hmm.
that candle too. But homeboy lost his candle privileges
What?
because
Give me a
he
second. I'm sorry.
almost burnt the shelf, and I was like, "You are no longer." I had to move him
What are
from
you
like
doing?
one of the lower shelves to the top shelf, but
Mm-hmm.
I looked at him and I was like, "You are not getting a candle anymore, friend." And
This
so,
candle above my head right here,
uh,
this one is Persephone's. I bought it, but it's like it's dedicated for Persephone, and it showed up and it was broken. And I was like, well, that must mean she doesn't like it. And she's like, no, don't throw that away. Your shipper just sucks. And I was like, oh, okay. So now I have a broken candle that I can't get rid of, but I also can't light.
right. I know.
What is that for? I missed it.
Oh, I'm just talking about my broken candle.
Yeah. Well, that's like so. The funny thing on my shelf with Loki right now is he's on that shelf with Freya and Freyr, and it's so
Mm.
funny because at any given time, I'll hear this like I'm not touching you in the background.
See, I put Loki with Dionysus and Hermes.
Well, so
That seemed like the safest bet for me.
I
like
agree. I
it.
agree.
They like it. It's just one of those things that I always know when he's messing with her because one of the cats will get up and they'll move his statue or they'll like swat at it, and that's how I know that he's messing with her and she's like knock it off or I'm going to knock you off. And so it's just really funny. And then I have because the Fae wanted this is really funny. They wanted the my Stephen King books. They're the Dark Tower series up there on their shelf.
Ooh.
And they also have my tarot cards. And it's really funny because every now and then like you'll see him trying to mess with them and all of a sudden like something will fall to be like get him to stop or we're causing chaos. So but yeah. And then but that's pretty much all I do for cleansing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Next.
Oh, sorry, ma'am. How I clean my altar is I do a multi cleanse just because I want it to like stay cleansed. But what I do is I obviously clean off the altar. But I'll go in with like pine sol since it's wooden, or like lemon juice, and I'll like clean it. I'll go counterclockwise, and then I will switch to like olive oil, and then I will go clockwise, and then I'll even bring in incense. And for incense, I either do dragon's blood, not on Nyx's altar though. I do. Oh, I forgot the name. I think it's grapefruit and sage. They're kind of mixed. I bought it from World Market, and she really loves that. And
It sounds like it smells good.
it smells so good. I tried the rosemary and thyme one that I had, and she didn't like that one, and neither did I. And I don't blame her because it stinks. So it's kind of just been sitting in my little drawer.
Thyme doesn't smell very good on its own.
That's why they mixed it with rosemary, but I still don't think it smells good.
Yeah, I say it still doesn't sound very good.
No, but she really loves the grapefruit and sage one. But she also really likes jasmine. However, I did use jasmine, and she absolutely loves it. But when I tried the grapefruit and sage one. She's like, "This one, please." I'm like, "All right, I got you." And then obviously for all the stuff for the offerings, I'll go and I'll cleanse those too. I'll put them through the smoke, and whatnot. And then that's what I do.
You guys are better at cleaning your altars than I am. I always forget to do that part.
I forget to clean my altars a lot, but I also don't get a lot of like negative energy brought to me. Hi, Troy.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of negative in my altar spaces. A lot of negative energy tries to show up in my nursery. I got to cleanse the nursery a lot.
See, mine's not so much negative.
A lot of negative entities do try and target children because they're easier targets.
Yeah,
so I see that.
Yeah, I gotta cleanse the nursery like once a week.
I have very protective deities.
I think the other reason I don't like physically clean my altar space as often is because I don't put a lot of food or drink on my
I
altars.
do.
Yeah, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I don't because I don't want my cat to eat it.
So
True.
I will say this: I have one dog that creates smaller versions of himself. So, and I have a long-haired cat, so I've got a lot of pet hair
totally leave the Christmas tree
that
alone.
That's fair. I
goes
don't the
everywhere.
only my dogs are not allowed in my room, so the only animal that comes into my bedroom is my cat. Um, so I don't really get a ton of pet hair in my room. Um, so I don't have to worry about that as much. And I don't put food out because again, like I said, I don't want my cat to eat it, but also we did have a bug problem for a while, so I don't want to bring that back. So I don't put food out very often, and when I do, it's only there for like an hour.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I've got I leave mine out. I have two pomegranates out right now, and then I've got orange and a lemon. But
I need to get a couple chalices for
yeah,
Nyx and Hecate.
I do
Because
have pomegranate seeds up there, but they are dried and in a jar.
yeah,
So I have like a pomegranate rind that I dried out, and so like I don't have to worry about anybody
yeah.
eating it or like it attracting bugs or anything. But that's the biggest reason I don't put food or anything because I don't want to deal with all those problems.
That's fair.
I know my cat, if I put food or drinks on any of the altars, she'll jump up and she'll knock it down. That's one of the reasons why I don't put food or drinks on my altar. But I also didn't even know I could do that too. I do want to eventually.
You don't
You
have
don't
to
have
leave it
to.
there long term. When
Yeah,
you do put stuff out, like I said, when I do put stuff out, I only put it there for like an hour, and I tell the deity like I'm taking this away in an hour. And I will usually eat it when it's done. I'm like, I'll leave it here for an hour, and because to avoid food waste, I'm gonna eat it when it's done.
yeah.
That's
Understandable.
what I do when I do put food out for them.
And that
But my deities and I pretty much have a mutual understanding that food is a very rare thing for us.
Yeah,
and that's
mine
something
too.
that we can talk about too. Is like how we go about, how we created our altars, what we put on them, and because
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think we
was
did a
gonna suggest
whole
that for our next
yeah,
episode
I
would
think we
be
did
like
I
a
altar
was
whole
also
spaces.
altar
I was
spaces.
also gonna make a TikTok video about it on our little TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Well, we
actually
are at an hour.
Yes.
oh yeah,
And
and
my
y'all
food
need to
is ready.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah
my
eat,
dinner's
eat,
ready.
eat your
uh,
food.
so it was really great to talk to you guys, and I really am excited to see where this goes.
I
But
am too.
do we have like a closer or anything? I don't
We
really have one.
don't. I can come up with one though.
Yeah, you got to do that for me, okay?
I
For
got you.
now, if you're listening, I hope you really enjoyed it, and I hope you come back. We will do another episode in 2 weeks. This will be a bi-weekly podcast.
Yeah,
All
we'll.
right.
Yeah, we'll. And I'll try and keep the TikTok updated too. I'm
Yeah.
just very bad with TikToks.
All right. All
uh,
right. Night, guys.
Night.
peace.